Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The new Doctor Who Christmas Day special. Well, the ratings are not so good. In fact, they are the second worst debut in history. Viewers have parted ways. They're done. They're gone. Sick of it. Can't be bothered anymore. And yeah, I don't really blame them, to be honest. I did a video yesterday where I was discussing the Season 1 teaser. That's right. It's Season 1 now. I really, I'm thankful for Disney for labelling it Season 1, and I'm sure you are too, because now, that sort of delineates the difference between what came before and what now will proceed. The good and the bad. Although I guess Jodie Whittaker, hey, that wasn't so good either, but it's comical. So now we've got the overnight ratings anyway, and they're not good. They're not good at all. And the overnight ratings do follow the long-range ratings. We've had... Well, this is now number 4, but we've had 3 previous specials which indicate that the overnight ratings correspond and tally up very, very nicely with the long-range ratings. The long-range ratings are still in massive decline and very, very comparable to the overnight ratings. Yes, they're more, but they're still a huge decline. So when we can look at this and say these overnight ratings are the second worst debut in history, the long-range ratings will be the same. They will still be some of the worst in history. And these are obviously just the overnight ratings anyway. If they're the worst in history, they are still the worst in history, or the second worst. So anyway, hit subscribe if you're new here, guys. Hope you had a great Christmas. Turn those bell notifications on if you enjoy videos like this. No pressure if not, but hey, it'd be good to try and beat that YouTube algorithm and the weirdness that YouTube does for creators these days. So, the overnight ratings are in for Shoy Gwood's debut as the Doctor in the BBC Christmas Day special, and they're not good. This is a great article over on That Park Place. I'll leave it linked down below, so please do check it out in your own time. So the BBC reports, this is them reporting it themselves, that the Doctor Who special, The Church on Ruby Road, only saw viewership of 4.7 million. Not good. Now, important to note that it is marginally better than the final special that, introduced Shoy Gwood, so the Giggle, because that was 4.62 million. But even the 4.62 million, the introduction episodes of the brand new Doctor should be massively high. They should not be lower than David Tennant just popping back up. They just shouldn't. Although, I guess slightly contradictory there is David Tennant popped back up whilst they were changing over the hands as well. So he was a new and also old Doctor coming back. But Shoy Gwood's Doctor appearing in the Giggle should have raised the viewership. It shouldn't have lowered it, and it did actually lower it. But yeah, this special, this Christmas Day special, yeah, it increased a little bit. I mean, not much, but still a little bit. Now, the 2 previous 60th anniversary specials with David Tennant as the Doctor was viewership at 5.08 and 4.83. Again, these are overnight viewership, by the way, guys. It's not the long-range stuff. Yeah, the long-range stuff slightly higher. I think the David Tennant first feature anniversary special was like 7 million or something along those lines. But they're not that much higher. So, Gwood's debut ratings as the Doctor are some of the worst in the entire show's history. So, Jodie Whittaker's debut episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, had overall ratings of 10.96 million. Over double. Over double. Peter Capaldi's debut as the 12th Doctor in Deep Breath saw 9.17 million. All the way back in 2014. Matt Smith's debut in The 11th Hour in 2010. So 13 years ago. Saw viewership of 10.08 million. Tennant's 10th Doctor appeared at the end of The Parting of the Ways back in 2005. And that viewership was 6.91 million. His first episode by himself, The Christmas Invasion, 9.84 million. So what we can deduce from this, right? If the changing of the guard of the Doctor episode itself, take David Tennant's episode for instance, right? The Parting of the Ways, that episode only had 6.91 million, but people were so enthralled at the prospect of a new Doctor that his Christmas Invasion episode, David Tennant's Christmas Invasion episode, which is his first debut by himself, racked it up massively. Almost 3 million more people tuned in, 9.84. So They clearly enjoyed something about the appearance of David Tennant when he, appeared initially. And then, obviously, people were keen to see that progress and move forward. And the debut of him just by himself, people were like, yeah, cool, I want to watch that. Yet they didn't, though, did they? With respect to Ncuti Gatwa. So they saw him change hands. They saw David Tennant morph into Ncuti Gatwa and the Bi generation. And then the first episode with Ncuti Gatwa by himself, the viewership wasn't so good. It was marginally better than his appearance episode with the Bi generation. It should have been, based on previous individuals, much, much higher. Millions higher, in fact. Quite comical, really. It just goes to show people are like, no, this guy's not for me. Christopher Eccleston's 9th Doctor premiere in Rose in 2005 saw viewership hit 10.81 million. Slightly different. That's sort of, the return of the Doctor, but still fine. Looking even back further, Paul McGann's 8th Doctor, who appeared in the TV movie, had viewership hit 9.08 million in 96. Sylvester McCoy's debut, Time, and The Rainy Part 1 was 5.1 million. And this is all the way back in 87. I mean, we can just go back and back and back and back and back. Colin Baker, 7.8. Then his original debut by himself, 7.6. Peter Davidson, 9.10. Again, just goes back and back and back and back and back. So people are not massively keen on Ncuti Gatwa. Now, I think what's interesting about this is that there are still people just, holding on for it to improve. Massively holding on for it to improve. And there's a lot of issues with this show overall. They're sort of promoting quite a lot of stuff here, there, and everywhere. But I think also, away from the sort of ideological element, I think people are just sick to death of, just the message overall. No one wants to be lectured in their entertainment and their escapism. And that's what Doctor Who really was, right? It was major escapism. There's also a load of contradictions with respect to this show. Russell T Davies came back and was like, we're going to change Davros. He's not going to be in a wheelchair anymore because, villains can't be in wheelchairs. Even though he wasn't in a wheelchair, that was a life-saving device, but fine. But we're going to have this other woman in a wheelchair. She's going to have rocket launchers attached to her wheelchair. Right, okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense. Male presenting doctors, female presenting people. I mean, it's all just nonsense. This whole thing is a joke. Right? Go woke, you become a joke. And that's what Doctor Who has become. A massive joke. And the ratings speak for themselves. Second worst debut in history. Viewers have abandoned the show. And they really have abandoned in their droves. We're talking 50% down from David Tennant's previous overnight episodes. That's real bad. And we're getting worse figures from 14 years ago, from even 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Yeah, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. You cannot look at all of this and say, it's in its peak, it's in its prime. No, people have checked out. People have had enough. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop it down below. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.